Split leaps and Russians are examples of push or pull. If there is a net force on an object, then the object will accelerate. All objects in free fall accelerate at the same rate at 10 meters per second squared. Once her feet leave the floor, she is in free fall, accelerating at 10 meters per second squared, until her feet hit the floor again. The dancer does work on herself when she is sashaying. It is kinetic energy and turns into potential energy. Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The size of the forces in the first object equals the size of the force of the second object. The leaner pulls to the left and the holder pulls to the right. The forces are in different directions, but they are the same size.
The law of conservation of momentum. In an isolated system, the total momentum of the two objects before the collision is equal to the total momentum of the two objects after the collision. By the other leg moving constantly, it stores momentum. When the leg comes back to the dancer's body, that momentum is transferred to the dancer to propel her around. Friction between the floor and the shoes and her body and the air reduces her momentum. To maintain momentum, the dancer's foot flattens for a split second, then twists as it goes back up. The most effective turns is when a dancer's center of gravity is constant and turning axis is vertical.
The law of conservation of energy states that the total energy of an isolated system remains constant. The dancer turns kinetic energy into potential energy.
Newton's first law of motion states that an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon an unbalanced force. Every object has inertia.
The coefficient of friction acts in the opposite direction of the turning foot. The coefficient of friction does not depend on weight. Centripetal force, a force that acts on a body moving in a circular path and is directed toward the center around which the body is moving. In swooping kicks, the leg provides the centripetal force that the foot follows the path. Bloopers, bloopers, bloopers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Get the lid!
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go. Go. 5, 6, 7.